a lot of assumptions, the question is always, do you see the oil price sort of staying in these current levels? Let's say, it's around 60 at Brent, now 65, maybe going to 75 over the next year or two. But I guess, is there an optimal level in terms of production, basically an optimal price rather, that avoids overproduction but maintains investment levels? Because, we're at a crucial point for the people in this audience.
No doubt that the decline on the oil price down below 50 in the US, that price was too low. We see rig count in the US cut by half, and production will most likely decline. So 50 was not a long-term price, sustainable price, and that's where I had the lower band on my chart. But I think it's at 80. I think we'll see a lot of projects coming through. And also because the investment cost has come down substantially, and you know why. And I don't expect it to come back rapidly. So at 80, I think that will be at the highest level. But still, that will be at 80. You will still see money coming into the alternatives.
Yeah.
I think this year we have sanctioned very few big new projects. We will be able to keep up with the demand for another 2 years with a boost of the shale from 2016. But from 2018, we will really lack oil globally, and we will then most probably see a boost in the oil price. And then the industry again will overshoot. They will invest too much, and in 2022, 2023, we will get a new oil price.
What prevents them from getting it right?
This is the nature of capitalism, and this is how it has to be. Because you're driving a car, and every time you push the speed, it will take at least 1 year before actually something happens.
Yeah.
That's very difficult to drive a car then.
Paul, you wanted to add something.
Yeah, and I think one of the points though is who's built the road, and who's maintaining the road, and who's building or requiring the maintenance or compliance with the rules of the road. And so the industry needs to, in spite of these ups and downs that capitalism allows to happen, and putting the brakes and putting the accelerator, the industry needs to keep thinking about, particularly in the ocean, are the policies and the opportunities still going to be in place? While maybe the interest and the investment in offshore is going down at the moment, there's a lot of people who are pressuring to reduce the ability to access those offshore resources, and we need to make sure we don't lose sight of the need to have access there in the future.
Ian, you want to add something here? Yeah.
Yes, please. So I think it's interesting when leading oil analysts are saying that the oil price may stabilize around $80 per barrel, because obviously a lot of the new fields that we're currently exploring and the licenses are being awarded, especially in the Barents Sea, require an oil price way above that. I think the other challenge is, of course, the long planning horizons that is needed in the oil and gas industry, because once you're given a license, it takes at least 20, 30 years before that becomes operational. So I would say, I mean, it's definitely a license to lose money. It's extremely risky. And if I was an investor looking into the energy markets and the way that things are changing and the scale of it, I would certainly not bet on that and put my money in oil and gas.
Eric, you want to say something, Harold Magnuson? Also, I just want to know, we always talk about the industry over-investing, and then we get into the same situation that we're currently in. Why can't the industry get smarter? What's preventing the industry from getting smarter? Is it these demand assumptions that you keep throwing up here? Is it just human nature that they are afraid that they'll be left behind? Why can't they get smarter? How can we get smarter?
They are ship owners.
Well, that explains a lot then. Okay, but yeah.
No, it's a couple of issues. I think we tend to forget that a lot of this is dynamic, also the cost levels. I mean, and in the current situation, nobody's going to make an investment decisions based on something that has a 4% probability of being found. And if you find it, you have to have $120 to get it. Nobody's going to invest in that. So this is dynamic, also on the cost side. That's one part of it. On the other hand, it's not only capitalists that are not smart. I mean, it's the governments around the world. When the oil price is high, we increase the capacities in the universities to educate geologists. And after 7 years, they come out with a master's degree in geology, and nobody wants them because the oil price is $10. That happens also this is a fundamentally a very difficult planning problem when you have long lead times. Harald Magnus showed when the aluminum industry, the copper, the iron, and the gold is exactly the same. So we just have to live with those cycles, and there's no optimal oil price in that sense. The final point is that, I mean, in order to achieve the world that both Nina and I want, with a low carbon, not overheated, we need a much higher oil price than the current oil price for the consumers. Otherwise, you know, the Americans are going to keep driving their SUVs. The Chinese are going to buy SUVs. They do at the moment. So we need a much higher oil price in order to limit demand.
But we have the oil price we have right now,
Exactly.
all right? And
65,
it's,
right?
okay, and this is hugely challenging for the offshore, you know, sector. You know, the key question is what innovative technologies can increase efficiency and reduce costs for the offshore sector? Because we're in survival mode here. Yeah, Jaren.
No, I wanted to comment on Nina's statement that why do you do oil exploration since you have already so much oil found, and you said it's maybe $80 break even. You're right, it's more than 1,000 billion barrels of oil found and not yet put into production. And that is because most of that is too expensive. And that's why you do exploration, because you always find cheaper oil, or that's what you're looking for. So we're looking for $60 or $50 break even in the Barents Sea. And the good news now, or just one comment to the reader for this discussion, it was a statement that 2/3 of the oil need to remain in the ground according to IPCC. And I've heard other people say that, and that is totally wrong. That's just a misunderstanding. That is 2/3 of fossil fuel. And if you look at oil, it's actually about 35% until eternity. But that includes all these big oil sands reserves that is not in the money.
You know, I'm going to give you a quick word, and then I want to move on to what innovative technologies can help remove costs. Yeah.
Yeah, let me just correct that. So 2/3 of the remaining fossil fuels must remain in the ground. You're right. But that includes 80% coal, 50% gas, and 30% oil. So even though we're all saying that coal is the worst, we also need to change our business model when it comes to oil and gas.
Let's just leave it there, because otherwise we're all going to be in the ground, okay, from a time standpoint and also from a survival standpoint, unless we are able to cut costs.